r/AskReddit. What do Americans think is normal but is actually very weird? Your bloody weird toilet cubicles. Why is there such a big gap? Why does everyone need to be able to see me while I'm doing a number 2? Why can't they have full-length doors like the rest of the world? Most Americans don't know credit score is unique to their country, and that their economy encourage people to live in debt in order to build a credit score. While a lot of other countries' population have savings and don't use credits to buy anything else than a house or a car. I do think banks are winning this trade by making huge interest rate, and that it also push people to consume more than they should or could, which is necessary for capitalism. In a way, when you consider what you can get or not depending only on your credit score, there is a comparison to make with the infamous social credit score used in China. Calculating whether or not to go to the hospital based on the likelihood that you'll die. Eating donuts for breakfast. Using Fahrenheit instead of Celsius. NFL. I've watched the sport before and I can see the attraction, but as an Australian that loves rugby league, I just can't understand how the fans became accustomed to such a stop-start game. I like a free-flowing game where momentum ebbs and flows in a natural way. Wearing outside shoes inside your house. Eating as if they had free healthcare. Having poor people that can't afford healthcare vote against having healthcare for the sake of the poor billionaires. I'm American, but meatloaf and garbage disposals are strange to others, but regular to us. Apparently meatloaf isn't unique to the States. Oops. Might not be an American thing. Might be a Californian thing. Might even be a non-European thing. But seriously, do you need that water level in your toilet bowls? Us Brits are not used to the cannonball effect when we go about our dark business. For some reason, their advertising system. Like, dude, it's seriously not okay to show me ads of medicine for me to recommend my doctor to prescribe it to me. Also, TF is your problem with ads right after a show's introduction. Communicating speaking loudly while vacationing in other countries. Edit. Not taking a shot at Americans based on the comments I see below. Just answering what was asked. Chill out, people. It's all fun and games till someone gets triggered. So many tips in restaurants. Tax not being included in price. Having to transfer flights in Atlanta or Dallas. Having to pay for hospital treatment or health insurance. Electing orangutans. Credit score having an effect on employment or rental. Not getting free food and alcohol on flights. Taking shoes off at airports. Capitalism being focused on companies, not consumers. High fructose corn syrup. Arkansas. Voting on a weekday. Not traveling abroad. Edit. Taking your country super seriously. Be more like Britain and indulge in some self-loathing. Cutting the skin off little boys' dicks for no reason other than tradition. Then acting surprised when someone tells them it's barbaric. Then trying to justify it as I think it looks better, as though the local cultural norms for the cosmetic appearance of children's dicks was vital enough to warrant surgery. Customer service employees being forced to be over the top fake nice all the time. In the UK you pretty much get what you get with customer service employees and we're all fine with it. Pledge of allegiance in schools. Thinking that their country is the best country in the world. Their gun obsession. Really don't understand it. Electoral collage. Thinking that voting is enough. And mocking France for their strike culture. Americans. Thus, avoid using their power and leverage in their negotiations for a better quality of life. So no general strikes, protests, and halting the country to a grind to get what they want from the government, politicians, corporations, the wealthy, and the elite. Even Nordic countries strike way more often. Denmark 116 days per 1,000 employees. Norway 56. Finland 37. And USA 5, while France 118. If Americans want to improve their society, they'll need to be tougher. Probably still the same stuff as last week when this was asked. Public toilets. Portion sizes. Taxes not being included in the price of items at the store. Advertisements for drugs on TV. The Second Amendment. Public transportation not being available absolutely everywhere. Not using the metric system. Trump. I think I covered most of it. See you all next week for more of the same. Gaps in the toilet stalls. Trade unions are evil. Paying for medical care. Wearing shoes indoors. A massive class of almost slaves that are technically illegal, but very deliberately ignored by authorities so they can be exploited for cheap labor. That and the fact that they call you racist if you so much as point out how fucked that system is. Medical bankruptcy. Believing that the USA is a true democracy and not a plutocracy. Calling football soccer. Enormous cappuccinos. In Italy, cappuccino cups are the size of a standard hand palm. Using the imperial system. They're thriving I'll sue you culture. Astronomical portion sizes. I went to an IHOP once and the omelette was crazy huge and even the coffee cup was 2x as big as normal. Being able to drive at 16. Is it time for another shit all over America thread already? Saying period instead of full stop. Calling Australia the land of criminals that have a better healthcare system, higher wages and lower crime rates. Call me a criminal. Expensive healthcare. Clapping in the cinema. I live in Hong Kong, and the only time I've seen people clap is when there's really big events, such as Captain America lifting up Johnny. Laughing is fine. My cinema laughed their asses off at the climax of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But clapping? I can't hear shit. What did they just say? Could be something important. But all I heard was the sound of bubble wrap and cheeks popping and clapping, drowning my eardrums. Paying for medical expenses. I just can't wrap my head around it. Going to the fire station for emergency medical attention because the firemen are trained and equipped for first aid. However, they don't charge money like ambulances, which can apparently cost 4-digit figures. I really can't understand the mentality of as long as I'm provided for, everyone else can fuck off whenever they vote against socialized medicine. It's like, if your health insurance came out of your taxes, you would still pay the same for the same service. However, any insurance dispute would be handled by the government's lawyers after you get the care that you need. Liking your cake day. Tipping waiters waitresses. I'm from America and never left the country, but I've heard that people in other countries don't find the need to tip people. Being interested in college sports. I know nowhere else where a school's sports team is of national interest. 40+ hours of work in a week. Advertisements for prescription drugs. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Growing up, I've only ever heard of this in American movies and TV shows. When I studied in America and finally tried one for myself, I discovered they taste awfully weird. Also, saying a thing of something, like, "Can I have a thing of butter, please?" Pledging allegiance to a flag. Circumcision outside of religious practices. Worrying about getting fired for calling in sick. Accumulation of something called PTO. Instead of getting a set number of actual weeks off of paid vacation from their employers every year. The drug advertisements on TV. Soccer league with separate divisions and playoffs to determine league champion. American soccer teams with names like Real Salt Lake and Inter Miami have ultras who support a team that was recently founded, willfully voting for people who aim to do them the most economic environmental harm while removing all of their workers' rights. Making sports cars where the sole focus is horsepower and nothing else, i.e. brakes, suspension, tires, aerodynamics, drivetrain, all-wheel drive, launch control, etc. Going to the frickin' beach when you're supposed to self-quarantine. Making people pay for organ to transplant. A kidney is 100k. It's kind of insulting. If I die, I want my organs to be donated. I want no one making money off of me. That shit better be free. Football is called football in everywhere but America. They call it soccer. They think that certain stuff, movies, games, are better than others because some are more critically acclaimed than others. In Germany we say the best movie game song is the one you consider the best. There is no right and wrong. People all have different tastes and viewpoints. Americans don't seem to get that. Especially American gamers. Tip-based economics. Wearing shoes inside. As a European this baffles me. How TF you keep your house clean? Male genital mutilation without valid medical reason. While driving we are able to make right-hand turns when the light is red. Assuming it's safe of course. Coffee mate. I don't understand it. What's wrong with just milk and sugar? Not having a bidet. Treating their soldiers the same way that the Nazis did in the 30s 40s. Putting them up on an imaginary pedestal, thank you for your service, etc. They're professional people doing a job. Selling guns at shops. Chicken. Maple syrup. Waffles. Not needing to know any history geography except their own. Having a clown for a president. Can I ask? Do Americans actually make tea by putting the cup in a microwave? Eating in your car. That liberal means left wing, whereas in the rest of the world it means someone who believes in personal liberty and freedom. Price tags at the grocery that leave tax off.